Big news is coming out of the Bay Area, and it's the kind of update that makes every Golden State Warriors fan sit up a little straighter. The rumor mill has been spinning for weeks, and now it seems like we're finally getting clarity. Seth Curry, yes, that's Seth Curry, is on the verge of joining the Warriors. According to reliable sources, the deal is basically done and just waiting on the resolution of the Jonathan Kuminga situation to make it official. And honestly, this changes everything heading into the season. Think about it. This team has desperately needed consistent three-point shooting off the bench, someone who can take the pressure off Steph and stretch defenses in a way that forces teams to pick their poison. And now, they're bringing in the literal blood brother of the greatest shooter of all time. Seth isn't just a recognizable name. He's a legit sharpshooter in his own right. Last season, he wasn't just hovering around 41 or 42% from deep like most people assumed. No, he was knocking down over 45% of his threes. That's elite, and it's right up there with Steph's all-time numbers. This isn't just a feel-good family reunion. This is a basketball move that makes strategic sense. And when you think back to how the team looked during that brutal series against the Timberwolves, the lack of outside shooting was painful. It didn't matter who had the ball. Moody, Kuminga, Buddy Hield, Pods, nobody could hit anything. It got so bad that even Draymond Green was forced to take threes, and that's never the shot you want to see in crunch time. It felt like the offense was running on fumes, completely out of rhythm. So the idea of adding someone who can reliably space the floor and knock down open looks, that's a massive sigh of relief for Warriors fans. Seth's presence opens up so many new dynamics for this team. Defenses won't be able to double Steph the same way they used to. Not when his brother is standing wide open on the opposite wing, ready to bury a shot the second the ball touches his hands. We've seen time and time again that when Steph gets blitzed or trapped, the offense tends to sputter unless there's a real threat on the floor with him. With Seth in the lineup, you now have two of the most dangerous three-point shooters in the game playing side by side. That's a problem for opposing defenses, plain and simple. And let's not forget the bigger picture here. The Warriors are heading into what many believe could be their last dance era, a final push with the core of Steph, Draymond, and Klay, if he's still around, before a full rebuild kicks in. Adding a guy like Seth, who not only fits the system, but also brings a level of familiarity and trust, just feels right. It's poetic, really. The Splash Brothers might be entering a new phase, with the actual Curry brothers lighting it up together for the first time in Golden State. That's more than just good basketball, it's a moment. Now, if the roster was only about shooting, the Warriors would be golden. But as every fan knows, size is still a major concern. Outside of Quentin Post, who stands above 7 feet, the team just doesn't have the kind of front court depth needed to match up against teams like the Nuggets or Thunder in a playoff series. Even if you love the addition of Seth, Gary Payton II, D'Anthony Melton, and whoever comes from this year's draft class, the lack of height could end up being their Achilles heel. That's why the resolution of the Kuminga situation is so important. Everyone knows something has to give. Training camp is just a week away, and the front office can't afford to let this drama linger any longer. Once that domino falls, whether he's traded or somehow reintegrated into the team, the rest of the roster puzzle can start to take shape. And based on the whispers around the league, there's a real chance Golden State packages Kuminga for much-needed size and playoff-ready depth. Names like Nick Richards, Royce O'Neal, and Ryan Dunn have been floated, and any combination of those players would go a long way toward balancing this roster. There's also the question of how the Warriors will use their recent draft picks. One of them seems destined for a draft and stash scenario, while someone like Richard could end up spending significant time in the G League. Tay, depending on how his development goes, might take that final two-way spot and bounce between Santa Cruz and the main roster. But even with all these prospects in the pipeline, the Warriors still need ready-now contributors if they want to make one last deep run with this group. That's why some fans are already throwing out trade scenarios, like sending Moses Moody and Buddy Hield in a package for Nikola Vucevic. It's a bold move, no doubt, but one that makes a lot of sense. Vucevic is a big man who can set strong screens, grab boards, and more importantly, open up the offense for shooters. Imagine him setting picks at the top of the key, with Steph curling around one side and Seth waiting in the corner. That's instant offense, and it could be exactly what this team needs to stay competitive in a loaded Western Conference. But as exciting as these moves are, the frustration over the Kuminga standoff is still very real. The Warriors already missed out on a few promising names during this waiting game. Guys like Thomas Bryant and, more painfully, Emoni Bates. Now, Bryant heading to Cleveland on a one-year deal isn't the end of the world, but missing out on Bates stings. This is a kid who once had #1 overall buzz heading into the 2022 draft, only to fall all the way into free agency by age 21. That kind of potential doesn't come around often, and it felt like Golden State had a perfect opportunity to take a low-risk flyer on someone who might just blossom in the right system. Instead, Bates is heading to the Sixers, and if he manages to crack the regular season rotation, that might create an opportunity for the Warriors to make a move for Kelly Oubre Jr., potentially using that trade exception. And that's where things start to get interesting again. Because if the front office can move fast, they might still be able to come out of this offseason in better shape than they started, especially with Seth now seemingly locked in. There's a lot of excitement surrounding Seth's addition, and for good reason. The Curry brothers sharing the court in meaningful minutes is going to be must-watch basketball. But the clock is ticking. Training camp is right around the corner, and the Warriors need to finalize this roster quickly if they want to hit the ground running. Fans are hoping that Seth's signing is the spark that finally lights the fire under the front office to take action, resolve the Kuminga situation, and bring in the pieces that complete this puzzle. Because let's be honest, this roster still feels like it's halfway built. There's shooting, there's energy, there's potential. But without size, without consistent defense, and without clear roles for everyone involved, this team could find itself stuck in the middle again. And that's the last thing anyone wants when you've got Steph Curry still playing at an elite level and only so many seasons left before the window closes. What makes this whole situation even more intriguing is the underlying tension that's been simmering all off-season around Jonathan Kuminga. This is not just a player looking for a new contract or more minutes. This is a young talent who was once touted as the future of the franchise, now seemingly stuck between being a long-term project and a trade chip. And the longer this drags on, the more damage it does, not just to the chemistry of the team, but to the Warriors' ability to move forward with clarity. Bringing in Seth Curry feels like a signal that the franchise is finally ready to make hard decisions. It's a move that says, we're done waiting. We're loading up now. And for that to mean anything, Kuminga's situation has to be resolved, one way or another, before training camp kicks off. You can tell the frustration is starting to boil over. The front office is under pressure. Fans are vocal, and there's a sense that the Warriors have already lost out on key opportunities simply because they've been too slow to act. The indecision has already cost them players like Emoni Bates, whom many believed could have been a steal for this team. He had the potential, the hunger, and the upside that teams dream of developing. Now, he's in Philadelphia, trying to make the regular season roster, and if he does, it could end up being a major what-if moment for the Warriors. Not to mention, his addition could push a player like Kelly Oubre Jr. out of Philly's rotation, making him a potential target for Golden State through a trade exception. The ripple effects of every move or every hesitation are becoming more and more apparent. The truth is, this team is at a crossroads. On one side, you have the loyal veterans who build a dynasty, Steph, Draymond, and maybe even Clay if he returns on a team-friendly deal. On the other side, there's a wave of youth and potential, but with that comes growing pains, inconsistency, and the risk of wasting what's left of the championship window. Seth Curry bridges that gap. He's experienced, he knows the system, and more importantly, he understands the pressure that comes with being a Curry in Golden State. He's not just a role player coming in to fill a spot. He's a strategic piece in a bigger plan to stretch out the final run of this core. But the plan only works if the roster makes sense. Right now, the Warriors are loaded with guards under 6'5". Pods, Moody, Buddy Hield, D'Anthony Melton, Gary Payton II, and now Seth. That's 6 players fighting for minutes in the same general position group. And while depth is always welcome in the regular season, it becomes a headache in the playoffs when rotations tighten and size becomes a premium. The front office has to start making moves not just based on talent, but on fit. And if that means trading from a position of strength to fill a glaring weakness in the front court, so be it. That's where the potential trade ideas start gaining traction. Sending Moody and Hield in a package for a veteran center like Nikola Vucevic might sound drastic to some fans, but it could solve multiple problems at once. Vucevic brings size, rebounding, pick setting, and another scoring option in the paint. He's not a shot blocker, but he doesn't have to be. The Warriors' defense thrives on communication and rotation more than pure rim protection. What he would offer is stability and physicality, two things this current roster desperately lacks. And with shooters like Steph and Seth spreading the floor, he'd have plenty of room to operate. Even names like Nick Richards or Royce O'Neal being mentioned in smaller deals show the kind of direction the Warriors might take. They don't need a superstar. They need role players who can fit around their core and provide balance. Because if this team heads into the season without a plan for size, it's going to be the same story all over again. They'll rack up wins during the regular season, but come playoff time, the lack of interior presence will be exposed by teams like Denver, Oklahoma City, or even Houston. And that's not even accounting for the rising threat of someone like Cooper Flagg possibly turning Dallas into a playoff force down the road. So yes, getting Seth is exciting. It's emotional. It's fun. But it has to be part of a larger chain reaction that finally pushes the Warriors into full preparation mode. That means resolving Kuminga's future now, not later. Because the longer this goes on, the more players and opportunities slip through their fingers. This isn't just about one guy's contract. It's about defining the identity of the team moving forward. Are they clinging to the past, stuck in limbo between eras, or are they serious about one last run with this group? The reality is everyone around the league is watching. Free agents, young players, veterans, everyone notices when a front office hesitates. And Golden State's indecision this summer hasn't exactly painted them as the most aggressive or clear-minded organization. For a team with as many assets as they still have, draft picks, young prospects, and expiring deals, it's frustrating to see them act as if they have no leverage. They do, but leverage only works if you use it. Sitting on your hands while the rest of the conference gets stronger is not a winning strategy. And that's the real fear. That this team wastes the last great years of Steph's career waiting for things to magically fall into place. That they end up being just good enough to make the playoffs, but never quite good enough to compete for a title. Warriors fans know what greatness looks like. They've seen it firsthand. So the idea of settling for mediocrity in this crucial window is unbearable. Bringing in Seth Curry is a step in the right direction. But now it's time for the front office to follow through. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Whispers are circulating through the NBA world tonight, and the epicenter of the storm is none other than the Golden State Warriors. According to sources close to the organization, the franchise has made the shocking decision to part ways with head coach Steve Kerr, ending what has been a storied and highly successful era in San Francisco. While no official statement has been released as of yet, insiders suggest that the move comes after months of behind-the-scenes tension and a sense that the team's championship window may be shifting. Kerr, who has long been praised for his calm demeanor and sharp basketball mind, has led the Warriors through a period of dominance that included multiple championships and record-breaking seasons. Fans are struggling to reconcile the news with the image of Kerr calmly orchestrating game-winning plays from the sidelines. Yet, sources hint that disagreements over roster strategy, player development, and the team's long-term direction may have reached a tipping point. Speculation is rife that the Warriors' management is seeking a fresh perspective, possibly signaling a more aggressive or modern approach to the game that diverges from Kerr's signature style. The rumor mill is already buzzing with potential replacements. Former players, assistant coaches, and even high-profile NBA figures are being floated as candidates, though nothing has been confirmed. Some insiders suggest that the organization is eyeing someone with a reputation for innovation and adaptability, someone who can maximize the talent on the roster while navigating the evolving landscape of the league. Meanwhile, players themselves are said to be in a state of uncertainty, with some loyalists reportedly frustrated by the sudden shift, while others are quietly curious to see how a new voice might reshape the team's dynamics. Analysts are pointing to recent playoff performances and the increasingly competitive nature of the Western Conference as possible catalysts for the move. While Kerr's leadership has been instrumental in the Warriors' sustained success, there's a growing sense among executives that a recalibration is necessary if the team hopes to remain at the pinnacle of the league. The decision, whether permanent or part of a longer-term strategic maneuver, is certain to dominate headlines and fan discussions in the coming weeks. One thing is clear. The Warriors' era under Steve Kerr, once thought invincible, may be entering a period of dramatic transformation, and the ripple effects of this decision could reshape the NBA landscape for years to come. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.